It was Ava's idea to book the Airbnb cabin out in the woods for Friday the 13th. We all thought it would be fun, something out of a horror movie. There were 6 of us, with a bunch of drinks, and a remote cabin, buried deep in the woods. A perfect setup for a getaway. The drive stretched long. Asphalt gave way to gravel, then dirt. The last couple of minutes of the drive, the radio cut to static, and our phones lost reception completely. No texts, no GPS, just endless trees pressing in on all sides. Tall, thin, and packed so tight, they felt like prison bars. When we pulled up, the cabin looked like something out of a postcard. Cozy log walls, a stone chimney, and a creaky, wraparound porch. But it felt too perfect, like it hadn't been lived in, just staged, like it had been waiting. I snapped a group photo on the porch before we unpacked. We claimed rooms, popped beers, and set up our speaker for music while we sat down on the wraparound porch. The air was cool and sharp, full of pine and distant wood smoke. Crickets chirped in a rhythm that didn't quite sound normal. Somewhere deeper in the trees, an animal let out a warbling, high-pitched cry, half-dying bird, half-crying baby. Something off, unnatural. Nobody said a word, but we all felt it. Eventually we all decided to head inside. The lights flickered when we flipped the switch, then steadied. James laughed and said it was a textbook horror movie setup. Then the lights flickered again. We all sat in the living room drinking and trying to act normal, when Ben and Talia disappeared down towards the basement. Just messing around, we thought. They both seemed to have a crush on each other. A few minutes passed. Then Ben called us all down. We all got up and headed down towards the basement. It was cold and unfinished. Cement floor, exposed beams, and there, tucked away in the far corner, was a commercial-grade chest freezer. Old, white, and humming softly. Something you'd walk past without thinking twice. Talia had opened it, expecting to find ice for our drinks. Instead she found meat. Lots of it. Vacuum sealed, or wrapped in plastic. Stacked neatly. Each piece was labelled with masking tape, and a year written in black marker. Some went back to 2000s, others to the 60s. All of them had the same date though. Friday the 13th. We all stood around it, confused. Ava asked the obvious question, why someone would keep meat from the 60s. Ben said he called us down because he thought we'd hit the jackpot. He figured the owners must have stocked it for guests, or had just forgotten about it, and thought it would be perfect for our dinner. Cam protested though, saying it wasn't in the ad for the booking, that we should leave it. Ben scoffed, then pointed to the topmost package, the one that looked the newest. The label read, December 13th, 2024. Ava reached in. She hesitated, then pulled it out and unwrapped it. Despite Cam's protest, At first, it just looked like old freezer burnt meat, pale, curled at the edges. But something was off. Too pale, too dry. Ben leaned over her shoulder and poked it. That's when he realized. It wasn't steak. It was a human hand. He then gagged. It was frozen solid, curled into a fist. A gold wedding band clung to the bony, frostbitten finger. Everyone backed away. Ava dropped the hand back into the freezer and turned to vomit. Talia screamed and stumbled into the wall. Cam tried cracking a joke, but he interrupted himself by gagging. Panic set in fast. We all scrambled for our phones, but they were all dead. Just black screens. Cam was the first one to speak, telling us all we needed to leave now. We bolted up the stairs and ran for the van. It was still sitting where we had left it, untouched with the doors unlocked. We scrambled in, breathless. Then Ben froze. "Shit," he said. I left the keys on the kitchen counter. He got out of the van, and before we knew it, he was running back into the house. We all stared, calling for Ben to wait, but he was already gone. We continued calling out, but no answer. Then we heard a scream. It echoed from inside the cabin. We all looked to each other and ran inside looking for Ben. We all spread out at first, but that's when we all saw Talia. She was trembling at the top of the basement stairs, pointing down the staircase, speechless. Blood streaked down the steps, thick, dark, smeared like something had been dragged. We all froze for a moment. Ava was the first to go down. We all followed, slowly, one by one. The freezer door was open. As we approached it, we all saw it. On top of the piles of frozen meat was a new fresh package, wrapped in plastic, with the label written in the same black marker. June 13, 2025. Today's date. It was ground meat. Ava picked it up. Her eyes widened. "It's warm," she whispered, with her hands trembling. She dropped it, and the bag burst open as it hit the floor, with a sickening splat. Chunks of bloodied meat and slivers of shattered bone spilled out. In the middle of the mess, partially buried in the gore, were keys. The van's keys. The power in the cabin flickered again. Then everything went dark. We screamed, shoved each other. When the lights came back, we were already moving. James grabbed the keys and we bolted for the door. Once again we piled back into the van. James turned the key, but nothing. The battery was dead. No reason, no explanation. It had been working just fine before we got to the cabin. Cam wanted to leave on foot. James wanted to barricade and wait for daylight. Talia stood crying, muttering to herself. Ava didn't speak. She just stared at the cabin, shaking. Eventually Cam convinced the group to go out on foot, following the road. We didn't talk. We didn't look back. After quite some time walking, haunted by the thoughts of what just happened, our phones came back to life. The time read 12 a.m., July 14th. Ava was first to call the police. She told them everything, stammering through tears. They asked us to stay put, said someone would be out there soon. We didn't want to stay out there, in the open, defenseless, but there wasn't much we could do. It felt like an eternity, but eventually, 4 officers showed up. One stayed with us gathering a report, while the others searched the cabin. When they returned, there was nothing. No freezer full of meat, no hand, no blood, and no sight of Ben. Just an empty basement. We begged them to look again. One of the officers told us the freezer felt warm, as if the thermostat had been busted. They even said the van was working just fine. No issues with the battery at all. He told us to give it a day. Said Ben probably just left early. But that couldn't be possible, as we only came in with the one van. They didn't care. They shrugged and left. We all stood there. The cabin was empty. No blood, no meat, nothing. We didn't want to stay any longer. We all knew what we saw. We packed everything up and left. Talia couldn't stop crying the whole time. No one's found Ben. We filed a missing person report, but nothing has come from it. I still don't understand it. That package, warm, fresh, like it had just been sealed. Was that Ben? Was it him? I don't know if I want to know, but I can't stop thinking about it.